Today we will cover the work of two more Czech writers. Jindra Imlauf was a Czech writer, translator and photographer. He was born in 1881 in Nové Město nad Metují, the son of Bohuslav Imlauf and Antonie Šmítová. He was diagnosed with bone tuberculosis at the age of 1 and was paralyzed for the rest of his life. In 1906 he travelled to Russia, writing a travel book of his experiences beyond the Russian border, being his first book. His most famous book, Huravec, or A Sick Man, was published in 1918, following a serious illness. He never truly recovered and died of tuberculosis in 1921. We will review his 1913 Under Seven Seals. Imlauf's introduction mentions how these stories were written in a time of extreme agony, the memories of which haunt him as the pain could return at any time. A strange spa story has the narrator visit a thermal spa in Luhačovice, where he falls in love with a woman without the two ever speaking. Then Vera appears to him as a vision before becoming flesh and blood. She tells him of her mother, who was seduced by a circus hypnotist, who made her elope with him, abused her, and would have sold her had not a Polish horse rider in the circus saved her and killed him. Then he himself died during a bet to win Vera and her mother enough money to live off of. But Vera's mother cursed her daughter before she was born inadvertently, that she should die the day after she gives her love to a man, and the following day they find her dead in a bath. The story had potential despite Imlauf going on and on about love and the meaning of life for a long time. A dramatic girl is worse. A newspaper man named Peshek sees a woman who reminds him of his old love back in Moscow, Marfa Pamfilovna Apraxinovna. She wanted to be a dramatic actress and performed a piece written by Peshek, but right after she was secreted away by her parents and confined in a nunnery. She sends Peshek a dove with an emerald clasp around its neck, and using this she appears to him as a vision. But the only thing she does is berate him about how spiritual love is the only one that matters, and that people who truly love should never as much as touch one another a single time in their lives, and how anything less is bad and wrong. She just preaches like this every single time she shows up. While he has about 2 thoughts in his brain he repeats ad nauseum. It is very annoying. A spring legend has a deformed Indian boy named Live Long and Suffer Long by his caring parents find love from a woman who jumps out of a flower pot before he is found dead the following morning. A bit better than the previous one, but we have Imlauf's standard blathering on about love, mixed in with diatribes on nirvana and asceticism. Only the first story is really worth it. Benjamin Jedlička was a Czech writer and translator. He was born in 1897 in Nový Bíjov and studied French at Charles University before spending a year at the Sorbonne. He was a high school professor between 1922 to 1936, then he worked at the Ministry of Education from 1937 to 1945, and the Ministry of Information until 1953. He was head of the Satirical Commission of the Union of Czechoslovak Writers, and editor in the Satire Department of the National Radio. He died in 1967. A long-time translator of Jules Verne, his first book, The Magic Doll, came out in 1929. We will review his 1943 Death in the Mirror. Death in the Mirror has a vain man watch his own reflection before going to a gala, but then he sees his own face contorted in death. Miss concerns a poor woman whose appearance makes her hate all love and romance, knowing she can never have any. Throwing herself into the river, she is glad when she hears someone call her a lady as she drowns. To Jerusalem has Josefina, a domestic servant, have a vision, after being used and abandoned, to go on pilgrimage to Jerusalem, but is murdered only a short way down the road, her would-be companion crying over her dead body for forgiveness. The book is promising, but with 17 pages of text there is not much of an impact.